Happy Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into Morning JOX. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell here with you for the next hour as we have finally officially made it to the college football season. So tomorrow, one day away from kickoff for week 0 of the college football season, and we will finally be able to, well, I guess some of these things are going to linger, but at least for a little while, hopefully put the all the distractions, all of the other noise and nonsense going on in college football and college athletics as a whole to the side. And we will be able to sit down and we will be able to watch live tackle college football on our television. So it'll be absolutely fantastic. We will spend a good deal of time today breaking down, of course, the schedule for you, what you can expect, what you can look forward to here over the next 48 hours as we will get into the college football season and some of the things that we're most excited to see this weekend as we get our first sample of how the 2026 college football season is going to go. So couldn't be more excited that we finally made it here. We've got another great week of high school football. I know some schools obviously got underway last night. And was able to check out a little bit of that. So we are in full swing here now in football season, and that's the way that we like it right here on JOX. So we will get into a little bit. We will give you the latest on what is going on in the world of college football, and then hopefully when we come back on Monday, we'll just we'll be getting ready for Alabama and Auburn, their first games of the season next week. We'll have the full recap of you for week 0, and hopefully that will just carry us forward and these distractions will be a thing of the past, but I think we should all probably know better than that by now that that's just not the way that the world works, unfortunately. But nonetheless, should be a fantastic weekend of college football, and at the very least tomorrow we will just be focused on the actual action going on in front of our eyes on the field, and that's what it's all about. So it's all going to get started at 11 a.m. tomorrow. That's when you're going to have the first kick there for North Carolina and TCU from Dublin, Ireland. So TCU, they're an 8.5-point favorite over North Carolina in that matchup tomorrow, and a big opportunity there. Obviously, Sonny Dykes is going to be breaking in a new quarterback after his went and joined the defending national champion Indiana Hoosiers. But TCU, look, maybe there's a path there for them in a Big 12 where Texas Tech, what are they going to do with Will Hammond? He's coming off of an injury, and we certainly don't expect him to be Brendan Sorsby. So what does that mean for the ceiling of a team like Texas Tech? Is BYU going to be able to repeat the success they've had the last couple of years? And teams like TCU maybe trying to find a path there to a Big 12 title game and potentially the college football playoff. And if you're on the other side of that matchup with North Carolina and Bill Belichick, you're just trying to do anything in your power to leave a good impression and not get fired in the middle of the season. That's kind of what it feels like for North Carolina, right? You're just trying to make it to the finish line. And I don't know anybody that has high expectations for North Carolina. And it's just how quickly in 1 year that matchup has gone from all the intrigue of what a Bill Belichick-led North Carolina college football program would look like to, I mean, it's kind of like at least with Deion, you got 2 years of excitement, but kind of has that same feel of Colorado to me where it was all the buzz. We were all excited about it. We were fascinated by the storyline. And now in year 2, I just really couldn't care less about Bill Belichick at North Carolina. I mean, am I crazy? Like, do you feel the same way, Damien? Because I feel like the luster of that or the intrigue of that is gone.
It's gone. No, because I think last year, and so Bennett called the other day. He called Wednesday morning, and he basically was just like, "Have we forgotten what happened to North Carolina last year when they played TCU? Like TCU beat the brakes off them."
Yep.
And he's basically like, "What do we expect? Why should we expect anything less than that?" And I'm with you. Like North Carolina, the name, because everything else surrounding Bill Belichick was off the field. Like it was, the Jordan Hudson thing, and it's okay. Well, he was one of the best NFL coaches to have ever done it. Comes to college, and he didn't jump off the porch with success. And when you look at just how the program is being run, it's been kind of it's been kind of rocky to say the least, and it doesn't really feel like there's any stability there.
Yeah.
So it's hard to think that North Carolina right now is in a good position to have expectation. Like I don't think they're a good enough football team to where there needs to be expectations of what their season's going to look like. And like you said, it's kind of to a point where if Bill Belichick makes it through the year, that's almost considered the success of North Carolina's season. It's okay, well he survived the entire year.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's expecting anything than, maybe a bowl appearance for North Carolina. But I think a lot of people expecting TCU to take care of business, just like Damian mentioned they did last year. And yeah, I think it'd be a surprise if that didn't happen ultimately. But that's how things will get started. 11 a.m. there from Dublin, Ireland. There, and we will see who can start off their season 1-0. Then at 2 o'clock, you're going to have San Jose State and USC there at the Coliseum. USC, I mean, they're favored by 38.5 points, so not going to be a very competitive matchup there, but it'll be, get to see your first look of, of all the teams that are playing tomorrow. USC and maybe one of these matchups, the late matchup of the night, you could make an argument for, but USC maybe has the best chance of making the playoff. It's the only ranked team that's going to be in action tomorrow. So it's more so just kind of getting a feel of, how good this USC team could be. It'll be kind of hard to measure that against the competition, of course, but, you should get to see a lot of points and, some Jaden Maeva, stat padding and stuff out there for an early Heisman run. So, but yeah, USC, San Jose State, that'll be your 2 o'clock kick there on NBC from Los Angeles. Then at 2:30, NC State and Virginia. So maybe not. I mean, Virginia did play for an ACC title last year. NC State, they're not quite getting the buzz of, being a dark horse playoff team like they were a couple of seasons ago. But I think there can be some intrigue in that matchup. And obviously somebody will have a leg up there in the ACC race after week 0. So Virginia, a 4-point favorite in that one. They're playing at home. So that could be a lot of fun there. Then at 4:30, this might be the most compelling game of the day, especially locally. But I think this really could be one of the best games of the entire slate, and that's JSU and North Dakota State. So North Dakota State, their first game as a member of the FBS, they're a 7-point favorite. They're playing up in the Dome there in Fargo. So it is home field advantage there for North Dakota State. But North Dakota State's one of those teams that there's a number of people out there that would have them as a sneaky pick maybe to make the college football playoff in their first year at FBS. And we know how dominant that program has been at the FCS level for years and years and years. But an interesting opportunity there for JSU, right? That'd be a massive win to kick off your season there on the road in Fargo. And then likewise for North Dakota State, right? If we'll see if it's kind of business as usual and they go back and, make a splash there as they make their first appearance as a member of the FBS. And for what it's worth, JSU actually, they have a 2-1 all-time record against North Dakota State, but they did fall when they that one loss did come in the FCS national title game back in 2015. So that'll be an interesting reunion there of two very, very good FCS programs now both in the FBS. 5:30, you're going to have Sacramento State in Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan, a healthy favorite in that matchup. At 6 o'clock, you've got Hawaii and Stanford. So that one will be there in Stanford, California. So they're a 4-point favorite there over the Hawaii Warriors. At 6 o'clock, you've got New Mexico State versus Florida State. And this is really just if Florida State loses, does Mike Norvell get fired before the start of the actual season in week 1? I'm kind of kidding with that, but nonetheless, for Florida State, an opportunity. Hey, just,
hey, man, we've seen New Mexico State knock off
Power
4 teams.
Well,
man.
Diego's not there anymore, so.
I mean, fair. Fair.
It was fun when he was. But.
Yeah, it's not out the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
but also you get to see Ashton Daniels at Florida State. Like
that'll be his debut.
It's his debut at Florida State. There's some intrigue there. Tom Herman's making his assistant coach debut with Mike Norvell. Everybody's trying to save the job for Florida State, and it starts tomorrow. The clock officially starts.
Yes, it absolutely does. Well, Florida State's favored by 31.5.
There
so
we go.
If you don't win that game, there's serious problems there. But yeah, I think Florida State will be able to start off 1-0 and get off on the right foot. And then the late game tomorrow night out there in Las Vegas. This one should be really good as well. You'll have Memphis and UNLV. So UNLV was kind of the team I was talking about earlier when I said USC. Well, that's maybe the team tomorrow that you'll get to see that has the best chance of making a playoff. But UNLV, them and Boise are kind of the two, favorites right now to make the college football playoff out of the group of 6. And you'll get to watch Jackson Arnold part of the time as he will play for UNLV, but you also have Alex Orji there splitting time at the quarterback spot. So that'll be fun to see how that looks and, be a big upset for Memphis, moving on from Ryan Silverfield after he took over at Arkansas. So big changes there for the Tigers. And what?
No, it's just funny. Like, who would have thought if we would have had this conversation, let's say 4 years ago, that Alex Orji and Jackson Arnold will be on the field at the same time. You're thinking, oh, like Oklahoma and Michigan, which we're going to have, but neither one of them will be the quarterbacks for their respective schools anymore. But they are in a quarterback competition at UNLV.
Yeah, there'll be an orgy in Vegas tomorrow night.
I can honestly say I was not. In no way, shape, or form was I ready for that.
But it's a factual statement.
But that's a 1,000% factual statement.
Mm-hmm.
See, yeah, I'm not. If Jackson Arnold is the quarterback, from what I've seen, and I've seen enough of Jackson Arnold as the quarterback in college football, they're not making it to the college football playoff. I'm not sold on that part. Charles Huff at Memphis, Brett Norsworthy on 3-man front yesterday. His I ain't scared bowl prediction. He takes Memphis straight up in Allegiant Stadium there in Las Vegas. And as he was talking about it, I was like, you know what? Would it really be an upset if they knock them off? Because I think Memphis. I don't think Ryan Satterfield left it bare for him. Like I do think that he can kind of keep the momentum rolling for Memphis. But UNLV, I like Dan Mullen. I don't like Jackson Arnold. And
no,
if it's a quarterback battle between between those two guys, because we've seen Jackson Arnold not let the ball go. If he doesn't find a way to fix that gene in him, it's going to be tough. But I do think out of all of the games, I think Jacksonville State and North Dakota State is probably going to be one of the more competitive matchups that we see. I think the last one, the nightcap, UNLV and Memphis, is probably going to be the best game that we see to start off week 0.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet there. It should be very, very competitive. And, I mean, Stanford and Hawaii could be competitive too.
Yeah.
That game has the lowest, according to Vegas, that'll be the closest game.
Well, is Stanford favored?
Yeah, by 4.
Okay. A little tight.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I might be doing something at 6 o'clock tomorrow night.
You're not going to be dialed
Well,
in?
we'll still be watching JSU and North Dakota State, so
Right, yeah, we got to watch the last part of that game.
And then I'll have to take a break before the UNLV game tomorrow night. I don't know if I'll be pounding the tape on Hawaii and Stanford, but, maybe it'll work its way on a screen somewhere in a box. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So we got college football tomorrow. We'll dive a little bit more into some of these games, some of the things that we're interested to see from specific teams a little bit later on in the show. But nonetheless, you can wake up, get your day started, have you a nice breakfast, go, work out in the yard a little bit, whatever it may be. And then 11 o'clock, you can sit down on your couch and you will be watching 12 straight hours, if you want, 12, 13 straight hours of college football live tomorrow. So we finally made it.
Baby.
Congratulations, everybody. We made it through a long off season, and tomorrow we get to reap the benefits of that. So we'll get back into week 0, some of the previews, breakdowns of the schedule coming up here around 6:30. But we do have to do our due diligence. We got to keep you up to date what's actually going on in college athletics off the field. I know all that stuff that is annoying and frustrating, but there is a little bit of movement there, some things that happened yesterday we need to keep you up to date on. So we will dive into all of that, as well as take your text, your calls, 205-834-9450 here on a Friday on JOX. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Friday. We've made it to the weekend once again, and the first weekend of the college football season as week 0 action gets underway a little over 24 hours from now. 11 a.m. tomorrow, TCU, North Carolina will kick off, and so will the college football season. So, very exciting times for all of us here across the South, and especially right here at JOX. So before we get back into what's going to be happening on the field and all of the things that we actually really enjoy about college football season, we've got to get you up to date on some of the stuff that we don't so much enjoy about the college football season, and that includes the ongoing debate over former professional players returning to college. And so we spent a lot of time earlier in the week kind of sharing our thoughts on that, the fact that we're not particularly big fans of this being the direction that we're going. But it is what it is at this point, and so now it's just kind of a what's actually going to happen. You've had all of the conferences now, the Power Four conferences, the ACC, they joined in yesterday. So they've all come out and said, no, we're putting a ban on this. Based on our conference rulings, you are not eligible, or if you are a member institution of our conference, you are not allowed to play professional players in college. But as we know, right, a lot of these schools, all you have to do is go get an injunction from somebody because a court ruling is going to overrule whatever a conference's rule book says. But the conferences have been aligned, and that they have all put a ban on that. I know the Mountain West, they also joined in by making that same ruling yesterday from their conference as well. Well, that hasn't stopped some schools, and LSU has been the kind of poster child for this entire situation, as Lane Kiffin, told the media he predicted, because he knew whoever the first school to get a commitment from a former pro athlete to come back to college, that was going to be kind of the team that got all the flack for it, and it's Lane Kiffin. So he volunteered to be in that realm, and here we are. So yes. We will note there are other programs than just LSU that have been having these conversations, and we're interested in this. LSU is not the only one that was having, looking to gain this advantage, but LSU has been the one that has, at least on paper, benefited the most from it so far. If they do, in fact, go through and allow these players to compete on their team for this upcoming year. Well, that number grew by 1 last night because Jack Pyburn, he's the edge rusher linebacker there from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was on the LSU team last year, and if you remember, he was one of the first players that was named last week in that kind of initial story that came out with him and Daquan Wright and Xavier Harris and the Ole Miss guys. Jack Pyburn was part of that. Well, it was now being reported late last night that if he is not rostered in the NFL by September 1st, so if he gets cut in the next 3 days and he doesn't go through waivers, or if he passes through waivers and nobody claims him, then he has an agreement to return to LSU. So he will join the Xavier Harrises and the Daquan Wrights of the world there on the LSU roster. And this is another situation. This isn't like the kid from Notre Dame where he never signed a pro contract. So that's fine that he went and joined LSU because he was just benefiting from the 5th year of eligibility ruling. But now Pyburn, according to John Blau, who is a writer for The Advocate and Times-Picayune there, he covers LSU football. He reported this last night that Pyburn has an agreement in place to return to LSU if he's not on an NFL roster by September 1st. So LSU clearly continuing to have these conversations and go down this path, and it will probably just get messier and messier as we move along here in the story. But it did get more interesting yesterday, just kind of on an overall level with these rulings, because you then have to go back to the Louisiana TRO for a lot of these players, and that's where, kind of the argument was being made of, well, this is against the NCAA, and so this is going to allow these players to have eligibility, but then the SEC came in and made their specific ruling, and so, well, the players are going to have to go back and get another TRO or another injunction against the SEC specifically. And it seems like that may not actually be the case. So attorney Tony Clayton, he was on with Matt Moscona there in Baton Rouge yesterday doing an interview. And he said that the attorneys have actually gone through and made an amendment to the original complaint in Louisiana that now includes the SEC. So like, oh, you know what? We'll just go back and just fill in the line here and make sure that we kind of cover all of our bases. And so they feel confident, I guess, that this will cover against the SEC. And if Greg Sankey or the conference as a whole want to go and punish these programs, then good luck.
That's the sad part.
Yeah.
Of the fact that we're a day away from the start of college football, and we are having real conversations about players that just so happen to. The timing is everything. Timing is everything. They were the class of 2022. Were granted another year of eligibility, but they had already made the decision that they were going pro. And now they're trying to get back into college football. They're lawyering up. Like, if I'm Greg Sankey, like, there is so much on our plate. And now we go back to it's like a compounding thing where you go back to the Protect College Sports Act of, could this have been avoided? Like, are there so many steps that we could have taken to avoid to be in a situation like this? And it's so insane that like once you go to court, it is what it is at this point. Like, now it's starting to feel like these guys are about to be let back into college football and they're going to be playing. And there's nothing that any of these leagues and primarily Commissioner Sankey can really do about it because now it's getting legal. Now we're taking it to courts, and basically the Louisiana courts are like, we want Greg Sankey to come down here, like come down here and handle it. Look us in the face and tell us that you're not gonna let these players get back in the college football world and play. And Commissioner Sankey's hands are pretty much tied of like, well, now we're going this legal route. There's so many nooks and crannies and highs and lows that you have to go through that it's almost like not even worth it. It's, man, now that we're going to this route, there's nothing I can really do. Like, his hands are truly tied, and it's an unfortunate situation because, again, if we talked about this yesterday, it's who would have thought the fourth string tight end on the Browns would cause this much commotion, and all of these other players that are trying to get another year of eligibility to come back and play college football. It's why are they? So some of these guys aren't even. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. Like, they're not even program changers. Like, they're going to be.
No, they're depth pieces.
Exactly. And it's, man, they are fighting tooth and nail to make this stuff happen. Like, I applaud them for their effort because at first I was thinking, nah, this is not going to fly. Once I saw all of the commissioners of their respective leagues put their foot down, I was like, yeah, they're not going to play. Now with all these TROs and the state of Louisiana really digging their heels into the ground, there's some validity to this. Like, we will be having conversations probably early next week that, hey, all of these players that have gotten waived from the NFL that have eligibility in college because of that extra year, they're going to be back and they're going to be playing.
Yes. Okay, so all of this got even better yesterday as well because, we just told you about the fact that you had the attorneys that went back in there for the original players involved, your Daquan Wrights, Xavier Harris, Jack Pyburn, and some of those other guys that were kind of the first wave of these players that were looking to get back into college. That was in Louisiana. They went back, they made an amendment there so that now the SEC is included in that, and they think that that'll, help the players with their plight to be eligible and play this year. So then we'll go to Dallas, Texas. So yesterday in Dallas, you had a judge that granted a TRO for a number of additional college athletes to make a return to college. But this one, the reason that this one stood out is because this one from the jump specifically lists the NCAA, the SEC, and Commissioner Greg Sankey as defendants in the TRO. So this is kind of the first one to specifically go out and say, hey, these players are eligible to play college football in the SEC. Nothing you can do about it. Sucks to suck, basically. Like, if they want to come back and play and there's an SEC team that wants them, nothing you can do about it. It's right. It's all here in writing. And so this went along with, I believe it was 41 total players that were included in this one, something around there. But just yeah, absolutely wild times. The funniest part to me is that the name that's been getting the most attention, and it's because he was just cut by the Cowboys, is Jordan Hudson. So there's now two really famous Jordan Hudsons in college football. So you've got this kid, and then you've obviously got Bill Belichick's girlfriend. So it's going to be a weekend of the Jordan Hudson show because you're going to have North Carolina and TCU tomorrow in Dublin, and then whatever's going on with this wide receiver who got cut by the Dallas Cowboys and is trying to return to college football. So it just continues to get crazier and crazier. And I can tell you right now that coming up at 11 a.m., I was just told this moments ago by one Pat Smith, but one of the attorneys there that's representing the players, including Jordan Hudson, this Dallas ruling affected yesterday. It is the Pepper Law Firm there in Dallas. One of their attorneys, Mark Pepper, he's actually going to be on Three Man Front with us today at 11 a.m. To kind of help break all this down and shed a light on what's going on there with this new ruling in Dallas. So look forward to that coming up at 11 o'clock. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And every time you think that maybe we're making some progress or, oh, okay, well, they just got to figure out, what's going on now, but there's no more players that are going to be jumping in here. I mean, like we have football games tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
and players don't know if they're eligible to play, who cannot play. It's crazy and it's disgusting because we just want to enjoy the games. We just want to watch football and be able to focus on the season. And I feel like this is definitely going to leak into the beginning of the season. There's no way it won't. So, but that's the latest going on in all of the controversial eligibility claims and lawsuits and restraining orders and all those fun words that we've had to learn here over the off season. But nonetheless, we can get back to the fun conversations, which is week 0, a full slate of college football coming up tomorrow. We'll dive into some of those matchups, some of the players, teams that we're most excited to watch. If you're trying to figure out, I'm more of like an SEC guy, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to be watching for tomorrow or what teams might be the most fun to watch. If you just want to have fun, we'll try to break all that down for you next here on JOX. 6:36. Welcome back into Morning Jocks. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell with you here as we get you set for week 0. So we just got you caught up on all the craziness going on around the college sports world as more players trying to come back from being cut from NFL rosters and making it back to college and all that fun stuff. But there's nothing we can do about it now. It is what it is. The conferences have made their point known. The players and the courts have made their points known, and we just kind of got to see where things end up at the end of the day at this point. But I don't think this situation's going anywhere anytime soon. So we'll get to your calls and your texts here in just a moment because a lot of you wanting to chime in on that. But do want to take a few minutes here, kind of go through the week 0 slate one more time and some of the things to look out for, right? If you're maybe not familiar, is locked in with some of these programs and you're trying to wonder, man, if I could watch, 2 or 3 games tomorrow, which ones do I need to prioritize or which ones will be the most entertaining or, have the players that you need to keep an eye on the most and whatnot. We will try to break that all down for you here in just a moment. But coming up in about an hour and a half, a little less than that now, at 8 o'clock this morning, make sure you tune into Mac and Cube. They will have Kalen DeBoer, the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. He will be joining Mac and Cube this morning at 8. So just wanted to let everybody know if you can find a way to be in your car or watch on YouTube, what have you. 8 o'clock, the Alabama head coach will be visiting with Greg and Cole. So should be a lot of interesting conversations and things to hear about the Crimson Tide as they get ready for week 1 next Saturday against Eastern Carolina with their shiny new quarterback. East Carolina, not East. I said that one time. Somebody, it's like, it's East Carolina, not Eastern Carolina. Okay, sorry. It's East Carolina, not Eastern. I don't know why.
You put some respect on them.
My bad, Pirates. I apologize. All right, nonetheless, week 0, we already told you, get started at 11 a.m. tomorrow on ESPN. You could also apparently watch it on Disney Plus if that's your thing. Oh, okay. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's easier if, your kids are watching something in the morning and you don't want to have to fiddle with the,
there we go.
You just throw it up on the Disney Plus. You can
meet the people where they are.
Yeah, apparently you can do that now. But nonetheless, you can watch it on ESPN. It'll be 11 a.m. kick there from Dublin, Ireland. TCU, 8.5-point favorite. And we talked about this right at the beginning of the show. It's for TCU. It's getting off on the right foot. Can you do what you did last year where you kind of came in and, and you handled your business in convincing fashion against a North Carolina team that was all the rage going into that game, right, because of Bill Belichick. And now, maybe just trying to find some sort of a path for you to make a run at a Big 10 or a Big 12 championship appearance and maybe find a way into the college football playoff if you're TCU. And then for North Carolina, you're just trying to keep, Bill, and I don't know. Are you trying to keep Bill employed or are you okay with just kind of letting it go? But, I think a lot of people probably just fine if he moved on. But nonetheless, he is the coach for it right now. The one thing I'm interested to watch in this game, though, is with TCU. So Josh Hoover, the quarterback, he goes to Indiana. TCU, they brought in this kid named Jaden Craig. And if you're not familiar with that, I can't blame you because I never watched him play until, live football until tomorrow. That'll be the first time I've ever seen him live. But I heard a lot of people in the offseason kind of talking about this kid. So he came from Harvard. So I understand, the level of competition is going to be a little different, but this dude was a monster at Harvard. So there's a lot of people this is, maybe the hidden gem of the transfer portal is what a lot of people kind of view him as. So just to give you an idea, last year for Harvard, he threw for 2,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and ran for 3 touchdowns as well. So he,
okay.
He put up some numbers. The year before that, he threw for 2,500 yards, 23 touchdowns, 3 picks. So he was the best of the best in the Ivy League. So now we'll see how that maybe translates to the Big 12. But that's maybe a player to keep an eye on tomorrow. See how that goes for him moving up here to FBS and to the Power 4. Then you've got USC, San Jose State. For USC, Jaden Maeva, maybe a dark horse to win the Heisman Trophy if he goes out there and, he probably should throw for 300-400 yards and 3 touchdowns, but we'll see. That could be fun to watch.
I want to see USC's defense tackle. I know it's going to be a little bit of false advertisement because
of San Jose State.
Yeah, but if USC wants to be taken serious, defensively, they have got to get better. The offense under Lincoln Riley, no problem whatsoever. But the stain on him is because he's so focused on the offense going out there scoring 50, the defense gives up about 48. So now if USC can go out there and be dominant defensively, again, we know who the opponent is on the other side. But if they go out there and do what they need to do and blank them and absolutely leave no doubt about it, then it kind of gives you a little sense of, all right, maybe USC is starting to turn the corner. But I have to see it first. I've got to see it happen.
I absolutely agree with that. Moving down the slate tomorrow, I do think that maybe the player I'm most interested to watch overall, and just because he's had a lot of hype, he had a really good year last year, but this is one of those players where if he has kind of that final breakout that a lot of people are expecting him to have, like NC State could be an interesting team to watch in the ACC in terms of, a team that maybe Miami would see in a conference title game or something like that. But if you haven't seen C.J. Bailey, the starting quarterback there for North Carolina State, he's really, really good, man. He threw for over 3,000 yards last year, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks, added 6 rushing touchdowns, and he is, there's some people that would take him over Darian Mensah in the ACC. Like, that's just how good he was last year, and people are really, really excited to see, ourselves included, just how much better he could possibly be. So he's a junior now. He got a lot of reps a couple of years ago, and then he took a big step up last year to become one of the best quarterbacks, probably the most underrated quarterback, honestly, in the Power Four. I think you could very easily make that argument just because it's, NC State and they weren't a big factor in anything last year. But if you're looking for a player to watch tomorrow in that North Carolina State-Virginia game, definitely look out for C.J. Bailey, number 11, the QB there for North Carolina State. He's a really special player when that game goes off at 2:30. We already talked about it a good bit, but JSU, North Dakota State, 4:30. That should be a really fun one there at the Fargo Dome. North Dakota State, a 7-point favorite there at home. Their first game ever as a member of the FBS. A lot of people think they might be able to go on a run and actually make it to the college football playoff as the group of 6 representative this year. But that one should be a ton of fun. One of the more competitive games of the weekend, and that is a 4:30 kickoff tomorrow there on the CBS Sports Network from Fargo. And then finally, Memphis and UNLV. We agree, Damian, this is probably going to be the most intriguing matchup potentially of the entire day. UNLV, again, like North Dakota State, one of those teams that a lot of people expect to make a run at the college football playoff. But there'll also be a lot of intrigue or just, kind of a hate watch if you're an Auburn fan, right? Because you get to watch Jackson Arnold as he will be fighting to win the starting quarterback job there at UNLV with former Michigan quarterback Alex Orji. So we'll see which guy Dan Mullen can kind of morph into the QB that he needs there at UNLV. But you mentioned it, right? Charles Huff at Memphis, they still got talent there, even with Silverfield leaving and coming to Arkansas. So there's a lot of reason to believe in Memphis there, and the Americans still in UNLV under Dan Mullen. Really good year last year.
Yeah.
Really good with Barry Odom before Dan Mullen came there. So they've been, one of the best group of 6 teams for a few years now.
Yeah, and if there's a coach that can make a 2-quarterback system work,
it'd be Dan.
It'd be Dan.
Yeah.
And listen, maybe Jackson Arnold has a resurgence. I thought he was going to have a resurgence at Auburn after leaving Oklahoma. Alex Orji, I really don't know what to make of him, to be honest. I think they're very similar in a lot of ways because they're inconsistent. So, and again, I think Dan Mullen's one of the better quarterback gurus in the game. He can find a way to unlock it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard not to think that UNLV will have success, but
if anyone can fix Jackson Arnold, it's Dan Mullen.
And that you've exhausted all your efforts.
Unfortunately, I don't know if anybody can fix Jackson Arnold, but if there was a person that could,
right, it's going to be him.
Correct.
But I do think it's going to be a fun slate. Every game essentially there's going to be something to look forward to. It's just the fact that we get live tackle football in the Power Four tomorrow,
yes.
Bro. I'm so excited.
We made it.
We finally made it.
All right, we're going to get to your calls, your text, 205-834-9450. The final few minutes are dedicated to you here on the eve of the 2026 college football season on JOX. Final few minutes here of the week on Morning Jocks. Going to get to your calls and texts here as we get into the first weekend of the college football season, kicking off tomorrow at 11 a.m. Quick shout out, though, to the Atlanta Braves as they took down the Dodgers 1-0 last night. Chris Sale, 11 strikeouts for the Braves as they just swept the Dodgers. So, not saying that means anything, but hey, you've seen the proof. You get into the postseason, you just swept them 3-0, but obviously, when Chris Sale goes complete game 5-hitter shutout, that's definitely going to help. But yeah, shout out to the Braves as they just got a 3-game sweep there of the LA Dodgers. All right, back to the football talk though. Let's go to our boy Poe. He wants to chime in this morning. How we doing, Poe?
Man, real quick, Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitch. Hey, real quick, man, college football is here. I love y'all. Let's get some college football going on. And look, one thing I want to say is about this, Mississippi State got to go 4-0 in that October schedule, starting off with Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, and LSU, man. So hey, Damian Mitch, that's a schedule in October. My oldest son was like, man, why did they do Mississippi State like that? I was like, man, look, it's wild. So, hey, if my team can get through that October schedule, y'all, this is one happy Mississippi State fan, even though I'm happy with them, but, it's all good. And one more other thing is this. Ireland, anything I can do, I do not dislike North Carolina Tar Heels, but I dislike who come around Van Order? Bill Belichick, because he's not the coach that everybody, all them upper folks think. So anything I can do to see Bill Belichick lose, hey, I'm loving college football even more. It's your boy Poe. I love y'all. I'm out.
Thank you, Poe. Enjoy the games tomorrow, man.
He said they got to go 4-0 in October.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, if they do, they'll...
Man, just get one.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you just win one of those games, you're doing better than you have in years there, but
Hey, that's what we're here for, man. He said go 4-0 in October.
Everybody's undefeated right now,
Let's
so
go.
you can. Everybody's got a chance. All right, let's go to Don. He wants to chime in this morning. How we doing, Don?
Hey, good morning, guys. Happy Football Friday to you. And Conrad, I got to tell you something, buddy. I went to got invited to go to the Thompson game with my buddy Eddie Porter, and we got the VIP treatment from all the coaches. And I tell you what, if you ever get a chance to meet Coach Freeman, what a great guy. But I talked to you about Alabama recruiting in the summertime. I had a little fun with you, but I got to tell you something. Now you're going to have a quarterback battle on your hands when Elijah Haven and Seaborn get to their year where they're playing. You got that Seaborn kid. Damon, have you ever seen Seaborn play?
He's been playing since the 8th grade, Don.
I know that, my friend, and I've been watching him now. This is my 3rd year to go out there. That kid, that boy can play, and
he's a good player.
Thompson guys has got over 21 guys, sophomore, juniors, and seniors that are just unbelievable. And I think you're going to have another one from Thompson committed soon. Conrad, what everybody was telling me, that the wide receiver Kimbrough is one of Seaborn's favorite targets and everything, but they are just unbelievable. I thought that was going to be a good game, and it ended up being 37-7.
Yeah, it was a good win there for Thompson last night, Don. It was good to hear from you. Clay Chalkville scored more than 7 in the.
Yeah, it was 13.
It was 37-13, but I'm glad that Don. I guess he had to get the escort out of there early because he's. Didn't want people swarming him on the field afterwards, asking for autographs and things like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, so you've heard of that Seaborn kid though?
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, dude can play. And he's committed to Alabama.
Yeah,
so,
he can play.
I ain't ever seen a scrub get commit to Alabama. Come on now.
I just
Roll Tide.
appreciate Don making sure we've seen the most talked about high school player in Alabama for the
Multi-time
last
state
5
champion.
years.
Yeah, like I've seen him play for a while.
Heard about him once or twice. All right, getting to your text now as we wrap up the show, man. All right, so I did not expect this morning, but this made my day. This really did make my day. I really appreciated this. John Mack texted in, and he said, well, he started off with gig 'em. Ugh. But he followed that up. He said, I just want to say out loud that you guys really do get my day started off great, and I truly appreciate what y'all do. We don't agree a lot, but I love you guys. See, the start of the college football season, it brings out the best in all of us.
keep the same energy in October and November, John Mack.
That is,
But we love you though, man. We appreciate you too.
absolutely. That is the nicest thing he has ever said on this show, and we appreciate that because while we don't always agree, John Mack, we know you're going to be here each and every day. So, all right, everybody, enjoy your college football weekend. 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Let's go.
It gets started. We'll recap it all for you Monday at 6. Mac and Cube is next.